Good evening, everyone. Hello, welcome back to Photo Access. How's the level? Is that okay? Can you hear me? Yep. Okay. My name is Alex Robinson, and I am the director here. I'd just like to start by acknowledging that we're on the unceded lands of the Ngunnawal and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and welcome any First Nations people here who are joining us this evening. What we do here at Photo Access would not be possible without the support that we receive from Arts ACT, who provide our core funding, so thank you to Arts ACT. And also our sponsors, so we have a beer sponsor, which is Benspoke, which I'm sure you're all enjoying those. And for those of you who weren't here at the last opening, we have a new wine sponsor, which is Lerida Estate. So they're based out there on Lake George. I went and met Andrew, and they have, it's quite a unique vineyard because of so many varieties that they grow there. So, you know, enjoy the beverages while you're here. So this evening we are opening a group show that's been curated by Gabriel Hall-Lomax. The title of the show is Navigating Histories, and it presents the distinct perspectives of 4 artists who employ video and documentary photography to delve into themes of displacement, memory, and identity. Naambes Phuong Lee's photographic installation depicts the Vietnamese diaspora community of the suburb of Sunshine in Melbourne, where he lives. Hong Kong-born and Adelaide-based Chris Hughes' large-scale black and white photographs capture the social aftermath of the 2019 political uprising in Hong Kong. Estelle Yoon's digitized 16mm film explores notions of family, time, memory, and nostalgia through a poetic depiction of the South Korean lullaby Bandar. And Canberra-based Australian Slovenianist Ren Gregorčič projection work Under the Foot of Neptune focuses on the floodlights that illuminate the Fountain of Neptune in Florence. His practice interrogates the material and spatial configurations of landscapes and the relationships between materiality, form, structure, and power. Okay, so this evening our show is going to be opened by a very special guest, a local a local photographic curator who also frequents the Marnock Hall. Please welcome Dr. Sean Wagan.
Thank you, Alex. I only saw the show sort of at 4:30 this afternoon, so I hope you're not going to expect something I guess profound in terms of a response to the show, but I do have some things to say. I also want to acknowledge that we're on unceded Ngunnawal and Aboriginal country and pay respects to elders past and present, and acknowledge any First Nations people who are here. I do want to acknowledge that I was a bit uncomfortable by the request to sort of speak at this opening when it was put to me by Alex, because it was clear to me that the work which has been made by predominantly artists of colour, but in all instances artists with diasporic, identities or experience, how me, as someone who demonstrably holds the white gaze like right in the palm of their hands, may not be the best placed person to make sense of the work. But actually those kind of misgivings were quite genuine. But in the experience of the work, I just realised that, while that's, while I'm not going to dismiss the fact that I do hold this privileged position, I'm not a member of the diasporic community, I'm white, I'm a man, I really enjoyed the way that the work and the way that the work was brought together by Gabby and Alex kind of created a space for me. And I guess there's this sort of thing that I was thinking about. I thought about it a lot actually in the sort of hours that I spent with the work. But I had this kind of memory that came to me, because the show's about memory. memory is such a kind of ridiculous subject. Like, I don't even really know what memory means, you know? Like, it's such a complex kind of configuration of like associations and effects and sensations and experiences that, you know, I'm not a memory scholar. I'm not really sort of placed really to make sense of memory as a kind of experience. But I did have this really interesting thing happen to me when I was young. And I went to, I was about 23, which is about the age of many of the artists here actually. So, you know, which is neither here nor there, but I found myself in Ireland where my family comes from, but I wasn't there because of that. I actually didn't want to go there because of that, but I ended up there for reasons that are not particularly interesting. And I went to this village, and I knew that this was the village near where my grandmother's family was from. So I had to put that on the table. But what I experienced was completely authentic and real. And I met two people, two Germans, and spent a few days with them. And we were walking around, and we were walking through this landscape along the cliffs, really, sort of at the Atlantic Ocean. And quite sort of clearly, I had this realization that I remembered the landscape, you know, and I didn't just remember the sight of the trees sort of bending, you know, against the sort of the gales that were blowing off the cliffs, you know, from the Atlantic. I remembered that quite clearly, that image. But I also remembered the feeling of the gales, and I remembered the smell. I mean, ancestry, we carry it with us, you know, like even though my grandmother's ancestors have left that place in the mid-19th century, I carried with me really clear memories that were like visual and like embodied, and they were real. Like I had no reason, I didn't even care about where I was. Like I had no nostalgic or sentimental attachment to that part of my identity. And that's true. Like I was really there for very practical reasons, and I, you know, it was a really extraordinary experience for me because I guess it made sense of memory. You know, like it's not about language. You know, it's not about kind of historical narrative. It's something that you carry with you, and I think that what I loved about the experience of this exhibition was that when I walked in and kind of, I guess, sort of spent a bit of time with Phuong's photographs of sunshine, and I was telling Alex before, like I also have a relationship to sunshine. I was born in Western Victoria and didn't drive till I was in my mid-20s, and as an undergraduate, you know, used to catch the train to Naarm. And the train would go through sunshine, and it was always way too scary to ever sort of get off the train, not that I ever would have, but you know, like I never actually went to sunshine. I'd go to Footscray because the food was good and I'm a colonist and I hold a white gaze and I go and participate in the beautiful things that Vietnamese culture kind of makes available to me. Go to the great restaurants in Footscray, but I would never step foot anywhere near sunshine. And like here's sunshine, you know, this place that's full of colour, and you know, I need to be careful here. I don't want to sort of like lean in on sort of like cultural stereotypes, but I think there was something really interesting about the very specific local, I guess, kind of sense of memory that Phuong's photographs kind of helped me, I guess, appreciate. And that's complex. That's about me, you know, my experience of sunshine, albeit on a V-line train, kind of just passing through, but, and as a kind of a myth, you know, sunshine is this kind of dangerous sort of western suburb. And then I moved into Chris's kind of photographs. So Chris, you know, takes photographs, I guess, from the point of view of being someone who was born in Hong Kong, which is a place that I know and love, you know, and I've got a really kind of, I think, strong connection to Hong Kong for some reason. That's a place I've visited lots, and it was so interesting to see Chris kind of, I guess, looking for kind of evidence of, I guess, the traces of his diasporic experience and his cultural experience in Adelaide, finding, working really hard to find those traces, and presenting them to us in this very, very formal way. A very different experience really of, I guess, of culture and place is the, to the one that Phuong kind of showed me in Sunshine. And then I moved into the back of the gallery and fell in love with Estelle's video, really. I don't really understand it, like I wanted to talk with Estelle. There's a book that I love, I don't know if Estelle knows it, but this woman called Teresa Kyung Cha, she's a kind of a Korean artist, really, well-known performance artist, really. She was murdered randomly in 1983, not long after she published this really amazing book called Dictate, which I've read and will read again. It's a very, very, it's a magnificent book. And why I was interested in thinking about this book in relation to Estelle's kind of work is because Teresa, who was born in South Korea, but her family moved with her family when she was a young girl to San Francisco, writes about how her grandparents, and I think her parents also, didn't actually speak Korean and had to learn Korean. And so their experience in the United States was really interesting because they spoke Japanese and, because they had lived through the sort of horrendous kind of, period of occupation and colonization that Koreans experienced at the hands of the Japanese. And so to see and think about this image of this old grandmother and her granddaughter kind of, doing this lullaby and kind of, I guess, engaging with really sort of primary kind of Korean language, I just found such an interesting experience. And yeah, it's a very, very beautiful work. And then the last work, actually, I think, probably just kind of made me feel, in a good way, really hopeless, I have to say, because Ren's work really sort of shifts the story from kind of I guess, your personal or individual or very local experience of memory and ancestry and expands it out and sort of shows, well, what happens when memory becomes history? What happens when sort of big frameworks kind of, I guess, take over memory, whether they're nations or whether they're big ideological stories, and it's a really moving kind of oration that Ren just relatively randomly was able to sort of record that really speaks about how we just don't remember anything, actually we don't remember anything, and that's why we kind of find ourselves in these sort of situations where conflict and I guess kind of all of the crisis that that we deal with so regularly as humans kind of keep returning. And that's not to say that feeling of hopelessness was not a productive experience or feeling, because for me it was, because it's that's actually that's the world, so I've moved from this very local experience of community in Phuong's photographs, which resonated with me profoundly, right through to this thing where I guess the sort of the big questions of how does the experience of life, how does memory and the experience of life actually kind of work, in the context of stuff that's outside of our own bodies and outside of our own, direct relationships with people. So that might sound a bit kind of overblown, but actually that's kind of what I went through. And I think that's a really great achievement, for this organisation to give me an opportunity to kind of think about things. Literally 4:30, that process started. So yeah, congratulations to Alex and to Gabby for putting it together. Congratulations to the artists. You really have kind of allowed me to sort of think about things. Thankfully, Alex didn't say where I work because I didn't want him to, because who cares where I work? But I work in a big institution and we just don't do anything. We spend so much time just literally just doing crap. And, I'm really busy. And so to come to this place and see people just doing stuff and putting stuff together and creating opportunities for people, to just, I don't know, in my case, just kind of put some sort of pieces of a jigsaw together, thinking about walking in that landscape in Ireland. I haven't had that memory for a long time. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to chat about it. Sorry if I appear random, but yeah, I open the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean. So a reminder that a lot of the work tonight is for sale, so please support the artists. Also, we have two beautiful publications for sale. Phuong's book is there, and that's $65, and Ren also has a beautiful publication, $15, so available at the bar. Upcoming events, our next opening will be Thursday the 13th of June, which is the Canberra Contemporary Photography Prize, which closes very shortly, so please get your entries in. Hyperspectral is also, we still have a call out going for that, so that will be on Saturday the 19th of October, which is also ACT election night, so come here for stimulation. Come here for stimulation, sorry, cut out. Also a reminder that we are, you won't get that from the election. Reminder that we are running a fundraising campaign that is a matched funding dollar for dollar grant that we received from Creative Australia. So we have 30 days left till the end of May, and that's to upgrade some of the film services. We're at 50%. So if you can support that, that would be much appreciated. The easiest way to do is online on the website. And thanks again to all of our exhibiting artists. Thanks to the board of Photo Access and our staff, in particular Gabby, who curated the show. Thank you. Congratulations, have a good night, and we'll see you next time.